Hello, welcome back to Trading Weekly. Once again, it is Sunday, the 23rd of August. How you doing, Kay?
I'm doing great. Happy Sunday to everybody.
Yeah, happy Sunday. It's nice and sunny here. It's not so warm as well, which is pretty good over here in the UK. What's the weather like over there on the East Coast?
It's not bad. It's in the, I think, little bit high 70s. So it's a beautiful weather. The sun is like, it's a cloudy day. So sun is out and, you know, hides behind the clouds. So it's a nice way. It's a nice day. It's not that hot. It's perfect because we are now getting closer to autumn, fall.
Yeah,
So it's just going to get better from here.
it's just winding down a bit, which is good. Of course, this is a trading podcast, so we'll move on to the trading aspect. We're just a couple of guys on the internet looking at our charts, giving our perspectives, thoughts, and feelings around different assets, of course. So it's not financial advice. As always, as you can see on the bottom there, put your stock tip requests in the comments. We'll get to them. We've had quite a few already, Kay. Have you picked them up? I'm not sure.
I got
I'll
the one
stick.
from Zoviel. Is there
Yeah, and
anybody?
we've got one from Money Manager as well, which is cool with Nokia and Meta.
Let me just
So
keep it on. Let me just write it down.
yeah, sure. And a massive thank you to Wolf as well for letting us use the platform. We really, really should appreciate it. That's Wolf Financial up there in the top left-hand corner. Your source for anything financial, really, on X. So go ahead and follow him, of course, if you're not watching it on that stream already. So yeah, shall I take that away now? Okay, you good?
Yeah.
Sweet. How was
Anybody?
your trading this week?
Trading was good. I have a couple positions open right now that I have to manage them. Couple of them are Arista Network, which I talked about in one of my articles, was from last week. No, not Nokia. Sorry, Intel. What else is open? I think Amazon is open. Netflix is open.
You're running quite a few at the moment, then.
Yeah, I have like 4 or 5 positions open that I'm managing. So I don't know if I want to open new positions or I want to actually manage them this week. Especially, this is going to be a pretty big week. Some big names are reporting earnings that we're going to cover right now. So it's going to be a little wait and watch and see how things are proceeding this week.
Awesome. Yeah, for me, I closed out of my JP Morgan position completely. It broke a trend line. It's a very steep trend line, but a trend line nonetheless. So I figured I'll stick to my rules, cut a position, and yeah, handsomely rewarded, which is really good, of course. And I've continued my position in Qualcomm, so I'm holding that quite nicely. And I'm thinking about getting into Amazon this week, which is why I picked it on the charts today. I've got Amazon, you've got MRVL, so we'll jump into that in just a second. Got a couple more ticker requests here from Ramesh. Welcome back, Ramesh. Intel and Nvidia, we'll get
Yep.
to those, no problem at all. Obviously, Nvidia reporting earnings a bit later on, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Let's jump into the slideshow then, Kay. Of course, we've got the normal sort of things: some market overview, fear and greed index, earnings preview, SPY, weekly chart, of course, yearly performance, which yeah, we won't talk about that too much. Our picks of the week, of course, as I mentioned, Amazon and Marvel, and audience request straight after that. Normally takes about 20 minutes to get through the first lot, and then the audience request will flow through nicely after that. Okay, let's move on to the market overview for last week. It was a red week.
Good.
Monday, we kind of came out the gate and it was kind of nice. It was good, especially in the futures beforehand. And then bang, we broke a trend line and down we went. I caught a bit of that move actually, which is ideal on the day trading side of things. But you can see on the screen here, Nvidia down 5%, Amazon down 2% in the top right hand corner there. Down the bottom left, you've got Meta, Microsoft, and Google also red. Apple, sorry, is the only one that actually posted green. But if you wanted to count Tesla as well, you've got up 6%, which is actually quite good considering the week we've had. Anything else worth noting on this particular slide, Kay?
Yeah, I mean, this week is gonna be fun. I chose Marvel this week, so it was up last week. I chose AMD, and if AMD runs this week, I'll be like, man, this is getting this ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if that happens, of course. But I'll be very pleased if it does, of course. So we'll see. But yeah, interesting week. We've obviously got the health technology sector very green right in the middle there, just above your head to the left. So some good things happening on that side of things. The finance sector as well, as I mentioned, loosely with the JP Morgan, but all of them kind of got hit as well. Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, etc. So they've all kind of got taken a bit of a hit. Maybe we'll have a look at one of those charts a bit later on if we get time. We'll
Okay.
jump into that. Okay, fear and greed index. Excuse me. Last week we were sitting at 63. We've come down to 55, so we're sitting in neutral. Okay, how do you feel about that?
As it showed you that somehow it felt worse than it was last week. I mean,
Mm,
ideally, I mean, if you look at it, we were flat. but it was much worse for those big names, and specifically tech side semiconductors. They get hammered. Some of them were down like 10% for the week, but on the SPY you were basically flat. Same thing, QQQ, you were actually up a percent point 34. So that's the funny part, right? So all these names got hammered, but because they had like some specific names getting hammered, but then you also had a bunch of green across the board, like Tesla was up, and a couple of the names were up as well. Put to call, there were definitely, we moved away from 0.6768 to 0.75, so you can see the bearishness, and that's why you are moving towards the neutral. Not much happened on the wick side, but I think the key events that we really want to watch, at least for next week, I think there are two big events. One is, of course, this US Canada tariff split, tit for tat, has begun. We'll see how that plays out for the day, because anything could change. Just a notification from the White House right before the market opens could change the direction of the market. The second is two actually big ones. On 26, you have the Nvidia earnings that we'll cover next, but we also have the Jackson Hole speech. Now, keep in mind, for the new guy, this is going to be the first Jackson Hole speech, and because it's more of a speech, and then he'll take questions. Generally, this is it could be a volatile day. You have the speech, I think, around 2 p.m., and then you have aftermarket. You have Nvidia reporting on it. So Thursday, Friday could just be very volatile.
Yes, it's going to be interesting for sure. I remember Jackson Hole a couple of years ago. I think the market ended down over 3%. So it's got history for this. I don't know what it was last year. I can't remember, but yeah, I remember that day quite vividly because I was newish to day trading, and yeah, I got hit on that one, of course. But yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting week. Nvidia earnings, of course. We'll move on to the next slide. We'll take it into there nicely. Nvidia, Salesforce, CrowdStrike, Okta, all reporting after the close on Wednesday, so that'll be quite high tempo. A few names that I think you'll be interested in is MRVL and Iron on Thursday after the close. Have I missed anything on this screen?
You have a couple other names like a firm. We don't talk that much, but a firm is there. You have,
Got
in
Rubrik.
yeah, Zoom from that side. I don't know what other names right above us.
We've got
Autodesk,
um we've got Rubrik here just behind us.
Rubrik,
You can't
yes,
quite see it, but it's right
yeah.
there.
And then above one
Um,
is Sentinel One. Above Rubrik is Sentinel Wall. So that's also another cybersecurity. So it seems like a very cybersecurity kind of a week. CrowdStrike, Okta, Rubrik, Sentinel One, four of them actually.
It's a big one for the ETFs out there, the cybersecurity ETFs as well. So they're going to be a bit, you know, volatile, of course. A couple of names for me as well. But XPeng on before open on Monday. I don't trade them, but it'd be interesting to see kind of how they link to Neo potentially, and then Li Auto as well before they open on Wednesday. So a couple of those names, and the week after is actually Neo on the 1st of September. So that'd be interesting. Yeah, big week video. How do you feel about their earnings? So you just got to wait and see, sit on your hands, see what happens.
It's going to be a banger of a week. Especially Nvidia is going to set the stage for the market, right? There's a very good chance, high probability, it is going to beat the earnings handsomely. It's going to give you a great guidance because the price they have to increase the prices for the products. Issue with Nvidia is that I think it's 65% or 70% of the times, even with great earnings, the we overestimate the move. So from in the options market, so most likely, it's going to be the same. So we may see great earnings, but we won't see that move in the stock, if unless you're playing earnings per se.
Yeah, didn't we see that with AMD recently? They smashed everything but didn't quite move that much. If
Exactly.
anything, I think they were down actually. So
Yeah.
yeah, expectations will be one to fulfill for sure. I'm not too sure how that's going to work out, but I've got to be sitting on my hands, kind of sitting there with you know a box of popcorn and kind of taking it all in. I think I might be out actually on Wednesday night, so I won't even be seeing it. But still, be interesting week for the Nvidia investors and all the others on the screen here as well. Moving on, then we've got the first chart of the day, which is SPY Weekly. You can see red candle, well, black candle on my screen, but red candle essentially in the last week. I've got this level drawn of 760, which has been there for a couple of weeks, I think now, Kay, with these live streams. And of course, we've got the following trend line down below. So there is definitely support coming up at 760, which is really not that far in terms of percentage, probably 0.5%, something like that, and a little bit more as well for that bottom trend line. But of course, given the market in the direction it's going, you still have to kind of take into account the bigger picture, which is it's trending upwards. It's going up here, come back down, coming up here, come back down, and then bounced up here as well. So we could actually just see a slightly smaller move, come back to 760, for example, and then make that move to 800. What are
You
your
know,
thoughts on the SPY at the moment?
on the daily, the last candle is a doji candle, so that also
Okay, right.
denotes there is indecision in the market.
Yeah, so it could be turning around, or people don't know what they're doing. So it would take maybe potentially a bit of news to kind of turn this around, whatever narrative that might be, of course. But we still haven't had any concrete deal on the Strait of Hormuz, have we? There's been chitter chatter, but
Unless I
that's about
missed,
it.
I don't remember seeing any major headlines.
Interesting.
I can
Um,
check
but
if there's anything. You keep going on. I'll keep checking. I'll check.
yeah, and I've kind of done the analysis part here as well. But you've got this major trend line coming down below the 2 points I just mentioned. So you've got lots of contact points for the upside and to the downside as well as support. So if we do break this trend line downwards, then do expect maybe 730 to be the next line of support. But the good thing, I suppose, is with the red week we've had, we haven't broken this large kind of very positive candle. We haven't broken the halfway point of this. So with that move this last week, so that's good. So it's held that halfway point, which is in technical analysis, especially on the lower time frames, not so much the bigger time frames really, but on the lower time frames, it's important to kind of keep that halfway point for sure, because it's like a Fibonacci related thing. But yeah, and the news.
No, I don't see anything.
No, okay, fair enough. We'll move on then. Past performance, I win again somehow with Neo, which I did not expect. People who were watching last week's stream, I was very apprehensive on Neo. It's more kind of the future looking, as most of these picks are, as we always do. But yeah, somehow won. Up 2.65%. AMD, unfortunately, down almost 3%. You can see there. I'm now winning 15.6 for the year. Kaye, what's
Get,
going on? What's going on?
I have no idea, man. Like you are just on a roll. This is crazy. This is worse than last year.
And if you think I'm on a roll and you like my picks, and obviously you can go ahead and follow me on X at Shaun Trades _, where I post most of my trades. Kind of how they perform, kind of thesis behind them, blah blah blah, and obviously this kind of general psychology stuff. And of course my YouTube channel, which I upload fairly regularly. I'm getting better at that recently. I've uploaded a video in the last 3 weeks. Every week, which is good. Hopefully, we can continue that sort of form. So if you like these picks and you like what you see, then go ahead and follow me on both those platforms. Kaye, I know you've got some interesting things going on at the moment. How can we find you?
Yeah, so Substack, have been writing very regularly on Substack now, so you can definitely follow me there. I just launched an article today, published it. It's based on MRVL, but actually this is the entire AI stack series, and it's more of my research on understanding the different stacks within AI. Everybody knows NVIDIA, everybody knows AMD, everybody knows these Microns and SanDisk and pretty much, but understanding each layer, what do they actually do? Not just go with the hype because this particular influencer bought the stock. It's actually to understand what exactly happens, because I think you, I, and many people, right, we completely missed the move in the memory side, right?
Oh yeah,
Completely
completely.
missing.
Yeah,
It's like,
SanDisk. Come on.
and the reason you missed it, and at least for me personally, the reason I think I missed it is because I did not understand what exactly we're talking about AI, because we were only focused on either the chips or how the application is going to take it, like the service nows of the world. So we didn't miss the moves in the chip side. We are not going to miss the moves when it happens on the software side. But there's a big gap in the different layers, and that's why I'm doing this entire writing series for on Substack. So definitely go ahead and follow. It's free to subscribe. Um, I will be actually beginning, hopefully from September, because as I have more time to actually work on YouTube. So it's gonna get revived soon in
That's
Q4.
good to hear. That's very good to hear. It's been a while since you've released some good quality content. You had a video at the beginning of the year noticing your kind of picks of the year, so it'd be
Yeah,
interesting to see
yeah,
how they're
yeah.
doing. as
No,
well.
well, I what my one of my biggest pick is Rivian for the year, so that I'm
Yeah,
still sticking with, and the reason is because you have the Q3 and the Q4 R2 numbers that will be, and for me the price target is about 25 for the year end. It's on the conservative side, but considering my cost basis is $9, for
yeah, it's
me
not bad, is it?
that's
Yeah,
3x right there.
yeah. I
Not
mean, it had a
3x,
really good week.
yeah,
I had a really good week last week as well, didn't it? Bounced off a really good trend line. Maybe we can stick that up just for ourselves. Have a look at Rivian, put it on the ticker request for us. Why not? We could be greedy, right?
yeah.
But yeah, you can get all those details at Invest K, as you can see on the screen there. Go ahead and follow them on the related platforms. That's X, YouTube, and Substack. Nice one. We'll move on to the first pick of the day then, which is my pick of the day, pick of the week. Sorry, pick of the week. It is Amazon. This is the daily chart you can see on here. We brought this up actually, I think about 2 weeks ago. So you can count back the candles. We can see we kind of broke down on that Friday. We did our stream. We thought the interesting point here would be obviously one, the gap fill, but that's quite dramatic. But of course, the kind of return to the bottom of the trend line and the previous resistance point, which we set back in. Oh, I don't have the dates on here. That's annoying. Well, whenever that was, not so long ago. Uh, of course, we've then drew that circle and we've kind of played down into that circle this week. Now, you could have taken a position here on Tuesday, potentially. Obviously, that's a touch of the trend line. And obviously, I'm sure a lot of people did. I actually missed that. I didn't see this even happen. So now, potentially, there's a second bite of the cherry here. Obviously, we've got to keep our kind of risk management at the kind of forefront here. So I've got a hypothetical situation of which we kind of enter here, thereabouts, because we're at the previous trend line.
Mhm.
At the previous resistance and at the trend line as well. So we've got a couple of points of confluence. I'm sure if we dive down into the smaller time frames, we're going to have a lot more kind of volume at these sort of levels. Yeah, so it's very simply to kind of go back to near the highs. So I've got 277 with the stop loss at 252. That's just under 3 to 1, I think, top of my head. I think I saw that earlier. I've done a few kind of charting bits this weekend, but it'll be around about 3 to 1, which is what I aim for. Of course, you can go higher, and of course, you can bring the stop loss lower because that's down to your kind of your risk appetite essentially, really. So you can bring it down to kind of 248, 245. I think that's completely fine. Keep it more of a 2 to 1 trade. I think that's probably a bit safer, but I'm going for a bit of a break here because if we do break down this level, then we can very quickly come down to the gap fill. I've spoken a lot of words down Amazon. I know you're very bullish on Amazon generally, so I'd like to hear something about that, and I think the viewers will take a lot of value from that as well.
So 255. This is the I think this is 255, right? The line that you have.
I've got this at 257.
Okay, so 255 is your previous highs. I mean, you can play with that a little bit, but 255 is a pretty is basically the support that I'm looking for, and that's where my CSP I have applied. I have a CSP open at 255 for I think a month out or so. I do think if this continues, we have the 50 SMA at 249 coming as a support right around the middle of this the gap fill, and then we have the 200 and 300, which I don't think we will see unless there's a broader decline in the market. Um, there is a very very good chance that we might see a bounce of this trend line, so that's why we want to watch this very closely. If we can see this bounce of the trend line, then basically we continue the trend upwards. I mean, Amazon is a no-brainer. I don't think we need to do a full grade investment analysis of why Amazon is a great company. I think everybody knows it, and if you don't know it, I'm pretty sure you can find Amazon stock and you'll see hundreds of video on YouTube on that. The question is, at what price do you get in at Amazon? So, right, like that will depend on whether you're investing, trading, swing trading, day
Exactly.
trading, right?
Yeah.
It's different from everybody. For me personally, I've been at this 255 level for a long time. This just works for me right now. Doesn't mean it will work forever, but that's where you get the maximum premium. So my 255 cost basis will drop me close to 247 or 48, something like that. So if I end up acquiring the shares, it'll be 247, 248, something like that. And then I'll sell a covered
Yeah.
call at the money to generate premium. So that's pretty much what I'm doing with Amazon cycle.
I think it's important to note, obviously, the different approaches you can have towards this particular stock and all the stocks really. Obviously, long-term investing, we'd probably be looking at that gap fill, if not lower. But we're talking from kind of a trading point of view, of course. And I've got my position on the screen there. It's not a live position just yet. Hopefully, it will be tomorrow. See where the market is. And obviously, Kay's talking around kind of option side of things. There's different ways to approach this. We've got a comment on the screen here, which I think I just missed. Do you think the next wave in AI is power?
Well, so I think power is going to play a major role because power is one of the major bottlenecks in AI. The question is we don't know how it's going to play. I mean, of course, you have the specific tickers, but that infrastructure needs to be built across the board and current infrastructure needs to improve across the board. So that is definitely going to involve a lot of investment in all these major companies. Maybe you will see some sort of startups coming up. I mean, you can see Oklo as an example with zero revenue. The stock, the company is I don't know how many billions of dollars right now, but those are long term, right? I mean, building a nuclear power plant and having it up and running, it's multi years, right? And a lot can change because administrations over here are 4 years, right? So you have a midterm election coming up, and there is actually a lot of chatter on X, and rightly so, is because folks are not very happy with the data center per se, because they tend to use, because the electricity prices for has gone up for us. And I can tell you, like New Jersey specifically, the PSEG that we have here, and there are others as well, but the prices of PSEG, at least in my area, have gone up by almost 17 or 18%. But in reality, the actual cost is much more higher on the bill side, right? I mean, I have gone almost 50 or 60% higher I'm paying on electricity. Now,
Wow.
of course, the usage has gone up too, but it doesn't justify that much of a hike, right? So there is definitely a lot of data center, premium that we are paying, and a lot of people are paying, right?
Yeah.
So that's a definitely big discussion. It's a bottleneck for sure.
Interesting. Yeah. I hope that covers it there, Trang Ingo. I'm
I
sorry if
will
I
be
pronounced that wrong, but
and I will be writing specific articles, specific tickers on power as we get to that stack. You can definitely go check out the latest article because I have the AI stack map, and I'm going through layer by layer. So power is going to be there. I don't know if it's going to be next one or not, but it's there.
and you can see that on the left side there, bottom left, Invest K on Substack, and that'll be where you can find that information. So go check that out. I hope that helps. We'll move on to your chart now, then, which is MRVL. I'm excited to see this one because we saw this one probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I actually mentioned the trend line break,
Yeah.
which happened. We kind of came up. I think it was this candle exactly. Actually, we came up and we pulled back down, and that was the week's close. And then, of course, following that on the Monday, we had a bit of a green candle. Then we pushed up from there. I did take the trade. It's not very available for me on my current kind of trading platform, but it's nice to see that the move kind of played out roughly. Sorry,
No,
I was
no,
kind of
no.
imposed
Perfect.
on your
Not not
area. But
not
yeah,
at
what have
all.
you got for us? What have you got
Not at
for
all.
us, Kay?
So this is not a day trading chart, or it's not a trading chart. And the reason is because I wrote an article on Marvel, and it is more from an investing standpoint. So that's why this chart particularly will be very specific to investing, but we can touch upon the trading aspect. I also did not realize that Marvel actually reports earnings this week. So
Yeah,
I have the data with me. So we are expecting a revenue of 2.71 billion. Last quarter was 2.42 billion. So you're definitely going to see a big increase. You have 25 up revisions, very important. And we are expecting an EPS of 93 cents as opposed to 80 cents that was last quarter. That's great. Also, um, the options market overestimates about 46% of the times that they're going to beat um, um, uh, in the last 13 quarters, right? So there's a very good chance that we will actually not overestimate this time. And then there's about a 13% plus minus move. So if you're going to trade this, 13% would be what? 25, 20 plus 25, 26 minus 25, 26, something like that, right? So you can, if you want to do a trading, you can trade like that. um, I would be careful, and the reason is because Nvidia reports earnings on Wednesday.
yeah,
So generally what ends up happening is because it's at that layer at the beginning, at top of the layer of AI stack, and Nvidia is such a dominant company that basically drives all the entire market. So I will be very careful on how I would position myself for the earnings for Marvel. Now, coming back, if you are going to be investing for a long term, we talk about over here. So right now there are two supports that we are looking for. One is that we have this support. I think this is a, let me pull up my chart on my side. I think this is a 50-day, but let me just double check that. So
51, yeah, this one.
right, 50, yeah. So that one is 50, and then the one below is a 100-day. Is it 100-day?
Yes, yeah.
100-day. Okay. So if I would want to first watch on the earnings, not initiate a position before earnings, honestly, if there is some sort of a disappointment or if there is a general decline in the market because of Nvidia, the 100-day SMA is going to be my first checkpoint if I want to actually initiate a position for long term. Why would you want to get into Marvel? Marvel has a couple of things that is going very well for them. Number one, Marvel is like Broadcom, but Broadcom in general does custom silicon. They specialize in custom silicon. So all the hyperscalers, they say, hey, we are going to build our own chips. OpenAI says, I'll build my own chip. Anthropic says, I'll build my own chip. Broadcom does that. They bring that capability. Marvel does it at a smaller scale. So Marvel is not really the big player there. It's more of a secondary, tertiary kind of a player. Where Marvel excels is specialized in transferring the information between your chips to your accelerators, whatever that technology is how fast the data can move within that system, right? And then of course how to move it, you need the wire. So the copper wire is what people use. Now they are into the optical side. So these are the two big ones where they specialize, especially concentrated specialization from Marvel. So that's where they are. And what ends up happening is, unlike you bought a $20 subscription for OpenAI. Sorry, I'm taking a little bit long. You bought $20 subscription for OpenAI, and then you don't like it and you change it to Anthropic, right? It's not like that. Once companies invest into this particular stack of technology, it is not that overnight they're going to go and change the provider. So that's why these kind of um, opportunities or these kind of companies are very sticky once they get the order from the company. So they maintain their customers for a very very long time, and they generally expand. So that is very important. So for me personally, I'm not looking at the trading right now. I will reconsider it after the earnings is over, so I can kind of assess. But this chart mostly talks about how to enter a different position if you want to get into Marvel. But I would wait. This would be my recommendation, to wait for the earnings.
Sitting on your hands, interesting. Is there implied volatility move for this particular stock, like percentage wise?
Percentage wise, let me tell you. So your IV is 101, 100. Yeah, it's a very high. I mean, if you want to sell options, I would sell it very, very conservatively, maybe like 20 delta, 15 delta,
Yeah,
right?
wow.
And,
Okay.
and, and even
Yeah.
then you might end up getting, in the money if the decline happens.
Yeah.
So
No, interesting. I mean, I don't have much to add really on the chart perspective because we had the trend line break here. What I would say, obviously, we have a trend line kind of coming up below it. We did kind of break it, but it's not a confirmed break with two candles, just one candle, especially heading into another day. It's different intraday when you're trading these stocks, but yeah. But I mean, you can draw lines all you want, but as you're heading into earnings, anything can happen.
yeah.
Um, but it's interesting you trade with the 100 moving average. Is there a reason for that, or you just like the 100 moving average? I
No,
never
I just
do.
like to keep the long term averages, especially when I am also looking at long term, because that's why I mentioned it upfront. Like, this is not a trading chart. This is more,
Yeah,
if I wanted to build a position in Marvel, you need the 100-day SMA, you need the 200 and 300. And the reason is very simple. You want to buy stocks that are at its either 52-week low, or they are at those moving averages. You don't want to buy at all-time highs,
unless you're short term potentially, depending on
unless again you're
what's
trading,
going on.
right? Unless you're trading.
Yeah,
Nobody's saying that 317 is the all-time high and it will just keep getting rejected, but it did get rejected a few times from there. So if you, the more discount you can get, the more buffer you will have when it runs up.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. I think that's an interesting pick. I've written it down on my notes actually to kind of have a look at it and see, especially what happens on Thursday after the market close. Which, if you didn't catch that, if you've just come in here, the earnings are Thursday after the market close. So, yeah, going to be an interesting one to see for sure. Thank you for that, Kay. We're going to move on now to the audience requests. So be sure to get them in if you haven't got them in already. Let me just try and sort myself out this end. Let's stick this on the screen. Why not? We don't do this very often. You can catch us on YouTube at Trading Weekly, as you can see on the bottom left there. We don't actually upload that much, but it's nice to give, to feel that support from you guys. So go ahead and do that. We would really appreciate that. Perhaps in the future we might look at that, but for now we're happy with what we're doing. We're happy, aren't we, Kay?
We,
Anyway, I'm rambling now.
it's like if this was our full time job, yes, we could do this a lot more
Do it every day.
every day. I would love to. Problem is, it's not my full time job.
Exactly.
I'm not getting paid to do this. I wish I was. First is Palantir, if you want to start off with.
Palantir, really.
Yeah.
Good week from Palantir. I was tracking it, so I was thinking about getting into it, but in the end, I kind of just didn't. Other things kind of took priority, of course, as they do within the markets. But yeah, it looks like it's kind of trying to head towards that 200 level mark, which we've spoken about the last 3 or 4 weeks. We did actually set a new recent high. You can see if we really zoom in here. We can see the last kind of 9 or 10 trading days and their highs. We poked up above that on Friday, which is exciting. The bad thing is we didn't really kind of close at these levels, but I suppose you could take a minor positive as it did actually close, above the last two highs. So there's something like that for sure. Where you'd get in, I'm not too sure. That's a trickier one. You'd have to look at the kind of smaller time frames. We don't really tend to do that on these streams, but you're basically looking for a break of, this resistance, break up above here and come back down and retest. But again, it's going to be hard to see that on the daily. I'd probably come down to, I think, the hourly to start off, for sure. Start off with the hourly and then maybe pinpoint the entry kind of on the 15-minute or on the 30-minute chart.
And
But that again, that's a different strategy. So
where would you target? Would you target the previous resistance at 187 or something like that?
yeah, so I think yeah, definitely up here. Is that what do you think? Oh, no, 195 I would go for.
You'll go 195.
Yeah, because then what you've got, well, in fact, let's just do it. Let's jump into the hourly chart. We've got moving averages kind of coming up here nicely. We've got a clear kind of upward wedge type thing. So what we want is a break of this, come back down, retest, make a move towards 197. You've got a really nice risk to reward there. This is a caveat because it is a very volatile stock. So, for example, if you enter there, what did I say? 197. Did I say
Yeah,
that? 197. It doesn't really matter.
197. Yeah.
Thereabouts.
Yeah.
And then you've got an initial stop loss down here. So you've got an almost 2-to-1 trade. If it starts moving in the right direction, you want to bring this up, not to break even, but just below this trend line, essentially, because you want to follow this trend all the way to, target profit. That's the idea. So your trend line will keep coming up behind this trend. Sorry, your stop loss will keep coming up behind this trend line up until the end of the trade. Yeah, we kind of went off a bit of tangent there, didn't we? But that's how I kind of look at the smaller time frames, and it's not quite day trading because you don't expect that to be, made within a day, but you're probably looking at 2 to 3 days with a stock like this because it is quite volatile. Tricky to do.
Yeah, I mean, especially like when stocks are nearing their all-time highs, the risk to reward becomes very interesting, right? I mean, because, see, if the market was had was running having a bull run, you could take that chance that hey, we're gonna break this 206 or 205, and we could have a run up to 210, 215. Problem is you're already very close to the all-time highs, and the market is I won't say weakness, but there's an exhaustion. On top of it, generally an election year, the September, October is a pretty tricky month to trade as well. So we'll see how that plays out. Next one is AVT, Avnet.
We had this last week, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I wonder if
Last
it was Zovia or last week. Oh wow, look at that. So it looks like it's kind of broken down below the talking point, of which we probably brought up last week, which is this obviously support line, improved resistance here, come back down, tested it twice, and we've just broken straight through that. Um, what
Yeah.
we're looking at now is very clearly this trend line here. Got my new blue lines, by the way. Pretty cool, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, actually that's a pretty solid trend line. If that breaks, you are in for a lot of pain.
I mean, I would be looking at the 200 moving average for sure. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell
If we
you,
were to break that.
the 200 is $69.
Yeah, I've got that on here on screen. So down almost 20%. But by the time that happens, that would have come up. So you're probably looking at something like 14, 15% instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not there yet. I don't know what's made this stock do this. Perhaps it's the industry. Not sure. I don't trade it too often, but that's what we've been looking at on a purely technical basis. It's lost the 20 minute range as well, which is interesting. A lot of volume here on the right though, so potentially it's in a bit of catch 22. It looks bearish, but it also looks bullish. Very strange.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
this trend line right below the trend line is your big volume bar, right? Right around that time. So you it could fake the break of the trend line, but again, it's still at the point of control where most of the trading is happening.
hmm,
Problem is, if it breaks that volume bar, also that's when you don't have much going on. So
yeah.
interesting. Next is Joby. Didn't you
Oh
have
yeah.
a position in Joby?
I really want to get back into this stock because I came out of it for a bit. I kind of came out at break even. I don't know when that was, a couple of months ago. But yeah, it's kind of trended down a little bit and come back up and had the rejection here. That you can't quite see that. Had the rejection here at 20 moving average, I think that is. Yeah, 20 moving average, and just kind of trailing down, which is a shame. What they're waiting on basically is their, I think it's FAA approval, basically to allow their drones to commercially fly actual passengers, which would be obviously insane. Um, but yeah,
Just
just
just a sidebar because you're talking about the drone stuff. So apparently, I think it was last week where Amazon is going to start like drone deliveries almost in 1,000 cities in through United States.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah, crazy. Um, drone stocks in general. What are your feelings on them? Do you think there's a bright future for them? Because you've got ONDS, you've got Joby, you've got Archer as well.
So I will tell you this: the problem with drone stocks, if you're just going to keep the drones at the military level, right? Then it's a limited capacity, not limited in terms of the you need wars, right? To be able to use drones or stuff like that. But until that drone becomes more commercial use, like you start getting drone deliveries. Now, I'll tell you this: drone deliveries are already happening in China, but again, not everywhere in China. Like in
Yeah,
Shenzhen, you have a specific areas where the drone can come because the drone cannot just keep flying anywhere and everywhere. So there are designated places where you can do drone delivery. um, it's a good concept, but I'm not seeing it on the ground as much as because unless I can get a package delivered from Amazon through a drone, I don't think drone will be, that successful. But keeping the military side aside, right? On the commercial side, you need to have these deliveries starting to happen, right? At least you need to see the use cases. Like robotaxi is a reality now. It's already happening across. Drone deliveries are not have really not picked up yet. Maybe in some big cities, maybe in New York, and some small spaces, or Austin or Miami, but it needs to expand. If you want the stocks to actually gain market value and become a bigger company, they need to sell the drones, and the companies have to actually be able to apply these use cases. Like, give you another example, right? I mean, how do you see things actually expanding in the market, right? Just like people start buying iPhones, for example. Like you see a big run up, people started buying Tesla cars, right? You could see it. You don't see any drone deliveries happening. I don't live in a rural outback. I live 15 miles from the midtown Manhattan.
mm.
I am pretty close to the areas where you could see these things, but still you don't see it.
Interesting. I had watched a video the other day of an Amazon delivery and he dropped it just straight in a swimming pool, which I thought was really funny. So yeah, there is definitely to have a bit of work attached to them. Because just heading back to the stock, we're on the weekly chart now. We do have a bit of support here at the 200 moving average for the weekly. We're kind of breaking down below that. So until we see basically a bounce upwards and an actual support of that. And we could get that in the next couple of weeks with these candles because we can make a new low. But yeah, I'm staying away from it for now. But I still like the concept. But obviously, there's a lot of trepidation around it, as Kaye has just mentioned there in the last couple of minutes. We'll move on then. What's next?
Next is ISRG. Not sure what this one is.
Oh, we've had this one before. Yeah, intuitive surgical. Not for a
Oh,
while.
yeah.
Still got white lines on here from my darker charts. Let's get rid of them. It's broken down since our last chat because we've drawn these lines here, which was the trend line from September, November-ish from 2022, all on the weekly here, by the way. We've broken down from that trend line and broken through the 200 moving average on the weekly. So yeah, it's gone very badly. Let's have a look at the daily. Rejecting a bit off the 20 moving average here, not once, twice, but 3 times pretty much. Tried to get back above it, but then shot straight back down below it. We've got a gap fill here, gap fill here. There's a very gappy stock. Just wonder if it's actually American. Is it American, this company?
ISRG, I think so. Let me see.
I guess so.
It is an American company. Yeah, it's from California.
Yeah,
It's a health.
it's a very gappy stock.
I mean, they're.
Speaking of healthcare, did you see Moderna the other day?
I mean, they're.
Moderna.
Sorry, what?
Did you see Moderna the other day?
No, what happened?
Moderna stock?
No, MR.
It went up 80%.
What?
On successful phase 3 cancer
Yeah, I
tests.
mean,
So
oh my god, what a gap up! Oh, it was 63
Yeah.
trading and now it's 145. Oh my goodness. Oof, crazy.
I got a bit sidetracked there, didn't we? In terms of, the stock is depressed from a technical level, so I wouldn't be looking at this anytime soon. You'd want to get back above the 20 at least, and then, this is the 50, I think. Yeah, I think this might be the 50.
You definitely need other colors for it, man. It's like everything looks black.
That's a good point. I quite like it though. It's muted. Keeps me. I don't really use
Very,
the
very
moving averages only
minimalistic look.
with these live streams.
Very minimalistic.
Yeah, I don't really. I never use the moving averages. I only use them for these streams pretty much.
Okay, let's move on. If you're next is
Yeah.
core weave. Actually, let's start with Nvidia first, and then we'll go core weave.
Cool. Take it away, Kay.
I think Nvidia. We talked about Nvidia's the move, right? I think. So first of all, I love how if you actually draw these lines, Nvidia is trading in very very good fashion. Goes up, it consolidates, then goes up, staircase trading. I think for the typical move is about 13%, not 13%. Hold on, let me just the move is about 5% absolute, but 83% of the times we overestimate the move. So generally we would expect it would move plus minus 8%. So you can do so let's say 5% is the move. What would be 10, 21? So about $11, $12 would be the move plus minus. So you could actually play iron condor on this one if you really want to play earnings. Nvidia is very good for playing. I think I've done iron condors multiple times on Nvidia because it just works. Not saying it will work again. This is a binary event. It could surprise you, but generally this works on Nvidia kind of a stock. So 5% up would be what, 214, 224,
I've got it
right?
on the screen here. I've got 225 and 203 up or down.
So your support is a nice support at 211 because that's previous resistance that becomes support, and then at the top you have 224, resistance. So that little block is I expect the price to be in for this.
Yeah, it'd be interesting for sure. I think I'll definitely sit out for this
But
one.
the key is what Nvidia tells. about this entire AI ecosystem. That is the key, because that is going to drive whether how Marvel gets impacted. That's going to drive how the SaaS companies get impacted, and everybody else. CoreWeave, OpenAI, Anthropic, everybody. So if you want to jump into CoreWeave, we can look at CoreWeave.
Yeah, we've got a few more tickers
Yeah,
coming
so
through,
let's
so we'll
pick up
speed
the
things up a
pace.
little bit now. Or we've at the bottom of the trend
Dude,
line.
it's like it gapped up after earnings, and then basically just it's been non-stop selling from last what 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 days now, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. 8 days of selling
Yeah,
of CoreWeave.
needs to find support here, doesn't it? Really, because you've got the two moving averages and the trend line, bit of the highest peak of volume. So they've got could be an interesting point for
You know,
sure.
I'll give you a trade idea on this one. So
Okay.
what I'm doing generally is, and it's been working for last, I would say, 6 months, 7 months. Basically, I am, in this segment between 85 and $100. I try to get around the $85, and when it runs up, I try to sell at $100 in a covered call scenario, and it's just generating premium on that side. But again, at some point of time, the music is good. The music will stop, and it always happens. And the next stock, Meta, is a classic example for that. So, I thought on
Yeah, I
this one
mean,
before we jump on.
no, I think for me it's a case of needing to find a bit of support here at the daily. That's the weekly, but this is the daily.
But if you look at the volume profile, it's trading at every single level. The volume bars are pretty. There's a lot of volume at every single level. At every single dollar, there's a lot of.
There is. Exactly. Yeah, but I mean, the highest peak is currently at the level it is
Yeah.
now-ish. So, I mean, I would like to see it to come back above 93, 94 to really kind of confirm that for one day. Then you can enter on the end of that candle, have your stop loss below the most recent low, and have your target to the top of the trend line, take some off the table. And if it goes back above that 140, 150, you could take some more then. And then up to 200, take some more then. You've got a very, very healthy trade on your hands. I'm going to put that on my list here as well, just to look at it. I'm probably not going to trade it anytime soon, unless that exact plan pulls out. And sometimes it does, and that's when I completely missed them. Anyway, let's move on. Should we take Intel before Meta because it's kind of in the same
Was
sort
it
of.
Intel or was it no? Yeah, you can take Intel. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got Ramesh here. He asked for Nvidia and Intel. So, you traded Intel recently, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah,
Is that
yeah.
right?
So I have been trading Intel, but it's if you look at it, it's a clear case of the nice little down trend line, and it has not been able to. I mean, it is a falling knife, and there's a nice little gap coming up down around what the 79, all the way going down to $70. So about $9 gap, which will be from here 11% to enter, and then to complete that gap will be 22% downside.
And that's this gap here, isn't it? You're speaking of.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's where the 200 moving averages as well. So for long term people, that might be quite good. But it's a nice to see kind of a very structured move. So you've got a break upwards, come back down and retest. Well, I didn't retest anything, but it set a low, came back up, and then just broke straight through that low, come back and retest that low, and now I'm potentially making a move lower. Yeah, it's a very interesting chart. I mean, I never trade Intel at all. I have done a couple of years ago for a bit, but that gap fill and the 200 moving average would be an interesting point for maybe a short term relief rally back up to 82, and that would represent not the worst move in the world. That would be 17% ish, and obviously your stop loss would be quite tight down here, but it has to get there first.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on then. Meta.
Meta. Actually, Nokia before Meta, because now you're in the same realm.
We're just making our way through the industries.
Uh,
Uh,
Go ahead.
yeah, we've got quite a few lines on here. I mean, this is just going off our previous technical analysis. I never look at this stock like ever. So this is obviously us in the past. We've drawn lines down here at 890. Seem to have respected that nicely. Coming back up to the line it obviously broke at 1130. Kind of coming up there with the moving average as well. Kind of rejected off of that. So yeah, the lines have done well. What are your thoughts on Nokia as a whole, if you look at them
I mean,
at all?
if you look at this trend break, I would consider that, if we can get this the gap fill complete, and we can actually have a bounce, because the last candle looks like a doji candle. I don't know if what market is in decision for. Is there some sort of an earning, something coming up that I don't know? Can take a look at it. But if this last decision, if we can continue the staircase higher on Nokia, you can look at a couple of previous resistances, as the like 1115 would be 1115 would be your next resistance, right? And
Yeah.
that's a good
So from entry, that'd be about 16%.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
The next earnings is in October. That's the vertical line you can see on the screen
Okay,
there, for the
it's pretty
viewers, and
far.
obviously
Yeah,
you as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
Kay. Yeah. If it was to come back down to this level, though, it would be quite interesting. It's got a bit of a peak of volume profile, 200 moving average. Of course, you said the gap fill there as well. Um, and then obviously you're playing that back up to here for the first move, but I would actually look to like beyond that. So I'd be looking for a bit of steady price action out of this kind of range and a push up to kind of
Yeah.
1430, maybe 1350, something like that. And that would represent a much bigger move of about 40, 45%, which that's the move I'd be looking for a stock like this, because you can see when it moves, it moves.
Mm.
And it's not too bad. You can just bring up the stop loss to break even, then you know it's just a kind of free trade. You have to come back to it in a couple of months and see what happened. But yeah, interesting. I actually got to write this one down. So whoever brought this one up, thank you for that.
Next is
Who was it?
next is
Oh,
Money
man.
Man. Okay, next is Meta. Finally. Oh my.
We got there eventually.
Sorry about that. Uh,
So it's back down at the trend line,
yeah,
okay?
listen,
Back
don't
down
fight
here.
the trend. It's until it breaks the trend, but it's getting tighter. I will tell you this: it's getting tighter, and I think this always ends up happening with Meta. Meta just gets pushed to the wall. Everybody has a turn sour on Meta, and then eventually it will break and it will go back to its original price. Um, I guess just be patient with Meta. There's nothing else you can do at this point of time. But it is getting closer. The wedge is getting tighter.
I mean, as I've said so many times in the past, and you said it as well, the more times it touches a support, a resistance, or a trend line, the more chances it has to kind of break down. And to be fair, we've had it to the upside and the downside here. So on the upside, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably 8 throughout there. Touches on the trend line just to the upside. And then for the downside, we've got 1, almost 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Pretty
8
equal.
again. So I mean, it could literally go either way. It tried it just after earnings. This is that candle here. I remember it well. And then, of course, we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. This is a weekly chart we're looking at, by the way, for people watching.
Because daily is very noisy.
Yeah, it'd be
Yeah,
very
daily is very
interesting.
noisy. I'm saying
Sorry,
daily chart is very noisy
it
for
is. Yeah.
Meta. So I think weekly makes a lot more sense. But I'm liking the
Is there a
wedge.
potential catalyst
Yeah,
coming
I'm
up?
liking the wedge is tightening. It's getting to a point where we will see,
Yeah.
and hoping that we see a break to the upside.
Is there any potential catalyst for Meta that you know of at the top of your head,
Uh,
or not
no,
so
I'm
much?
not. If I'm not, I don't know if there's anything coming up. But if you think about Meta, year to date the stock is down 16%. In last 1 year, the stock is down 25%. So it is trading at its almost 52-week low. Like among the Mag 7, one of the worst performing stocks in Mag 7.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah,
if
this
you
year.
are into investing or long term in these kind of companies, then Meta is where you would be building your position, as it because if you think about, Microsoft was in the same position for a very long time, and then we had the breakout. So say, okay, let's continue.
Yeah. we'll see what happens. We have got a comment here as well. What do you think of
So
Zcash? And then followed by, if not doing crypto and only stocks. You're right, we don't do crypto too much here. Sometimes we look at the big ones like Bitcoin, Ethereum, but very rarely we do that. But we're happy to take a look at Cerebras, which I think is
CBRS, yes,
CBRS.
you're correct. Let's see what they.
Obviously, they're quite recently on the market. They're very, very volatile. We spoke about that last time when we did all this kind of like line stuff. Oh, it's come back down to the trend line. That's interesting. So there's a potential to kind of take this at previous trend line, as you can see. It bounced off of it recently. Let's see if it can bounce off of it again. But yeah, extremely big moves here. Or you can't quite see it, sorry. Extremely big moves here to be made. So just be really careful if you're trading the stock at all. I personally haven't traded it and I probably won't trade it. I don't really trade stocks that are so new on the market. It's quite fun to trade SpaceX on a daily, on a
Because
intraday time frame.
because SpaceX is a unique stock. It's
It's got
must.
volume. It's got
Yeah,
loads of volume as
and it's
well.
must.
Yeah,
It's right. Let's be honest, it's must. That's why we love trading that.
yeah. But yeah, I mean that's all I've got from a chart perspective. Have you got anything on your side for Cerebus? No.
No, generally, as you said, we don't tend to trade stocks that are really new in the IPO sector. We let the
With the
either you get into the IPO and you sell, get the IPO and sell and get out and enjoy the show, or wait for the some data to accumulate, like couple months, so that you can understand the trend of the stock. Next is
I
AST.
love the name now. AI Gorilla, great name. ASTS, yes. I wonder where this one is actually. I haven't looked at this
This
for
is
a
like
while.
the Rocket Lab, like the satellite stuff.
Yeah. It's quite
Now,
exciting. I kind of wanted it for the long term,
like
but never got
more
into
than
it.
more than drone, this is one sector that I think I prefer more than the drone side.
Yeah, and you can get ETFs for space now as well. There's one that actually is quite tailored to me, so I'm quite a big Star Wars fan. Is the ticker symbol is JEDI, Jedi.
Jedi.
So yeah, yeah, it's quite good.
That's so cool.
Um,
Oh yeah,
I'm not in it or anything like that, not yet at least anyway, but I will. But it's Space Innovators, I think, top of my head,
it's
ETF. So if you are looking for that,
it's
it's
called Defines Drone and Modern
JEDI.
War
I'll put it in the
Jedi.
I'll put it in the comments for people to have a look at Space ETF. I do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
see.
can do that.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, yeah. So back to the chart then. It's kind of come back down to a few important levels here. Really, this is a weekly chart. I don't know how to really look at this, to be honest. Potentially set a higher low here. Potentially, I want to see a bit more. I want to see this recent high break, definitely, and then make a move towards 91, and then of course come back up to all-time highs at 133. But yeah, I mean, really, you want price action of above here, come back down, retest, and then make a move. So that would be
Yeah, and
about 20%.
79 is where your 200-day. Yeah, 79 is your 200-day SMA. Right above that.
Okay, yeah, so that would be quite good to get above that, come back down as a support and push up above that. Interesting. I might write that down as well. Lots of potential ideas. Okay, what's next? Last one, SoFi,
Last
is
one
it?
is SoFi. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
this one.
that's all
This
I could say.
I've been posting about this SoFi. I've got SoFi Leaps, of course, as I've mentioned quite a few times on these streams. But I've been having a look on the kind of hourly timeframes, which I don't know if you've seen my profile on X, but that's I've been kind of mentioning it. So we've got the bull flag here. Why is my so glitchy? Bull flag here kind of pushed out a little bit, but didn't close above it. It closed above it, but didn't have the second candle above it. And then the following day it did, but then it came all right back into the range, which is crazy. And then obviously the following day, which is obviously Friday, just gone, pushed way back above that. So you can tell that SoFi really wants to push out of this range, and it has done. So for my leaps, fantastic news. But also for the stock as well. If we can push up above the kind of 1950 20 level, then I don't see any reason why we don't see 25 within a couple of months. I mean, it makes too much sense. We've got this catalyst of a potential S&P inclusion. There's rumours that it's not going to happen in September, so maybe the one after that. We'll see, but there's no reason why it won't be added into S&P. It's doing everything right, has done for 9 to 12 months, maybe more. All the fundamentals is going on nicely. The kind of the users, the amount of users they have, and of course the revenue, because consistently going from bottom left to top right in all the charts. Um, yeah, I would say everything's going okay for so far, just not the chart. So, in my experience and your experience too, Kaye, if everything happens quite well from the fundamental side and the chart not, eventually the chart does follow.
Mm.
So, anyway, enough of my excitement. What are your thoughts on SoFi
I
to
mean,
end us out today?
when SoFi went down around $15, that's when I got interested. But you know what? I might actually open a CSP on SoFi, but it's not going to be. I'm looking at 16th October. So this is my trade idea I'm thinking of. Again, I could change. So around the 25 delta, we'll get around 65 cents. So if you're looking at opening one contract, you're going to get $65. If you
Mm.
open 10 contracts, you'll get $650, right? So multiply by like that. So that is like at $17 because the reason I'm liking $17 is because you have a lot of volume. You have the resistance at around like a good support at around 17, 18, and there's just a lot of resistance, a lot of support that we can see at various levels between all the way going from like 1683. You got 1763, you got this little range over here at 1783. So I'm loving this price action, and I might even actually open the trade on Monday for SoFi. We'll see. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
liking
very range. It's a really nice range
very
here.
range bound. And when if you're selling options, you want to look at stocks that are range bound. And for a good 65 cents, it's not a bad deal actually. Of course,
Nice.
that's 54 days out, but that's what I'm looking at.
Well, thank you for bringing up SoFi. That brings us basically to the end of our stream, just over an hour now. It's been really fun today, actually. Got lots of opportunities. Personally, I've written down MRVL, CoreWeave, Nokia, and ASTS. I don't know if you've written down anything, but we'll obviously have a look at that and probably mention that throughout the week on our X profiles, of which you can follow us at Shaun Trades _, as you can see on the screen just below my face. And just next to Kaye's face, you've got at Invest K. But yeah, really good stream today. You can also find us on YouTube at Trading Weekly. We don't mention it too much, but we'll have that on the screen now, maybe just to finish the pod. I keep saying pod, but it's not a podcast, it's a stream. But yeah, great session. I think it's important to realise the risk this week. We've got a lot happening. We've got Jackson Hole and NVIDIA on the same day. Is that right, Kaye?
Same day. Yep.
Same day. So there's going to be a lot of volatility there, as well as some other names that are quite hot within the kind of stock market, really, and kind of interest with retail side of things. So just be careful with your risk management. Make sure you plan those trades, execute your trades, and obviously ultimately keep those accounts safe. I think if you don't have an account, you can't trade. So it's as simple as that. I'm kind of waffling now, but thank you from my side. Obviously, massive thank you to Wolf, that's you the platform. Kaye, take us out.
Well, I'm kind of surprised that nobody talked about Salesforce or like no SaaS names. That's number one. But bottom line is Salesforce reports earning as well, and for folks who are into the SaaS space, I think I would watch that as well and see how they play because Atlassian has been on a massive run. But anyways, watch for Nvidia. Watch on the space for what U.S. Canada tariff. How that plays out again, the Strait of Hormuz, and I think it is very important to watch that space because the midterm elections are right around the corner. So
Yeah.
every single week that goes by, and the gas prices they remain high, is just going to get worse and worse and worse. So interesting times for us as investors and traders. So be safe out there, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yep, next week at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, as always. So, yeah, we'll see you there. Take care, everyone. Have a great